Welcome to Powered by Snowflake, a series where I interview technology leaders building applications and businesses on Snowflake. I'm your host, Daniel Myers, and today I'm talking with Shivana Stumpf, Group Vice President of Analytics, Data Science, and New Solutions at PowerSchool. PowerSchool is an award-winning K-12 software platform that serves over 75% of students in North America and around the world, and it's powered by Snowflake. Shivana, how are you today?
Doing great, Daniel. Thank you so much for having me.
I am really excited to learn more about PowerSchool and how it's built on top of Snowflake. So in your own words, tell me, what does PowerSchool do for the K-12 education system?
Sure. So PowerSchool is one of the largest and most trusted software providers across K-12. We provide software applications that are used everywhere from the front in the classroom all the way through the back office. So think of how students' attendance is taken, their behavior incidents are captured, discipline, grades are entered, how they receive instruction in the classroom or receive instruction in COVID online, how they take tests and assessments. All of those solutions are powered by Classroom, including everything from how high school students fill out college and career applications through the district office using HR, finance, and ERP solutions. All of those solutions are powered by PowerSchool, and now we're bringing to bear our connected intelligence and unified insight solutions, which are data analytics and artificial intelligence and machine learning platforms to our customers that are powered by Snowflake.
That is a extremely important mission, and I think the ability to bring that data together really will provide new insights on how to improve the performance of those areas. So tell me more about the history of PowerSchool. When was it founded, and what's the scale that you operate at today?
PowerSchool, we've been around for several decades. We've primarily serve the K-12 market. We provide education technology solutions right from everything that a student does in the classroom, to how attendance is taken, grades, behavior, incidents are reported, how they take tests, assessments, all of the learning that's happening, especially with COVID, when everybody moved to online learning. PowerSchool's products were used in the classroom to power all of that, all the way through everything in the back office. So how HR systems are run, finance systems are run, district operations are run. So we provide the whole gamut of solutions, including all of the data and analytics now that we're bringing together on the Snowflake platform.
Beautiful. And so tell me more about how you got involved in PowerSchool.
So I have been at PowerSchool for 2.5 years now. I came through an acquisition of a data warehousing and analytics solution called Hunuit, which is now branded as Unified Insights as PowerSchool. So my history has been in data analytics, data science, and that's what now I'm doing it and heading up at PowerSchool.
Impressive. So it really seems like you are in a prime spot on leveraging this data, and you have this background in analytics and data management, to be able to leverage a platform like Snowflake to empower and build out a platform like PowerSchool. Tell me more about the architecture of PowerSchool, and specifically, how are you leveraging Snowflake to build out this software platform?
Absolutely, Danielle. So as I mentioned, the average number of systems that are education technology systems that are used in a K-12 district could range from, it was tracking at 500 different platforms before COVID, and that number has tripled post-COVID. Not all of these are true data platforms that are collecting massive amounts of data, but still there's a large amount of data that's being collected across these systems in a K-12 district. So what we're doing, and we ourselves provide over a dozen different products to our customers. There's petabytes upon petabytes worth of data that's going underutilized today. So with connected intelligence and unified insights, which are the data and analytics solutions provided by PowerSchool to the education industry, what we're doing is we're bringing all of this data together for the first time in a unified, consolidated, integrated data lake as an ecosystem, so that our customers don't have to go to 50 different places, having to integrate with APIs in some situations, do file extracts and FTP downloads in other situations. Most of the education institutions today at the state level, at the district level, and even cross-agency with the problems that we're solving, they're getting insights maybe at a biannual level, in some cases monthly, in some cases weekly, and in the best cases nightly. None of this information has been delivered to them in near real time. As we all know, APIs have been great, but then they limit and constrain the amount of data that can be accessed. Our customers do not have access to all data, all years of history from legacy systems and their live transactional systems. A lot of this data they need not only to perform the day-to-day operations to support educators and students maximize their achievement, but they also need all of this historical data for federal compliance and legal reasons as well. So using Snowflake for the very first time, both PowerSchool systems and non-PowerSchool systems, and by the way, here we're talking about every possible database technology that's out there: Oracle, SQL Server, MySQL, Azure SQL, Postgres, MongoDB, I'm sure DB2, I'm sure I'm leaving out a bunch of them, all structured, unstructured, semi-structured data, which is another huge advantage with Snowflake. For the first time, our customers can actually query unstructured data. We're bringing all of this data together, PowerSchool and non-PowerSchool systems, due to integrations that we've leveraged with near real-time, high-performance replication technologies. We're consolidating all of that data into the data lake and providing it with stringent data governance, privacy, and security. That is probably the number one most important feature that we're leveraging out of Snowflake, is all of the data governance and data security. What we're dealing with at K-12 and even with our state agencies, the information is PII, it's sensitive, highly sensitive. And so we need to make sure that as we're providing these data and insights, we're respecting the privacy and the data is governed. So we have role-based access policies that we're leveraging, data masking, tokenization, anonymization. All of those features are what we're bringing to bear. And in addition to that, we want to make sure that not only are we able to consolidate and integrate, unify the data, providing a single data lake that our customers can access in a secure manner, but we're also bringing all of the tools to bear on the Snowflake platform. So we're leveraging everything from Snowsight to deliver some of our dashboards, to the native integrations with Power BI, Tableau, the integrations with replication technologies, with ETL technologies. We're leveraging clean rooms, which we're really excited about. As I mentioned, PII and sensitive information, especially as you're going across agency, is extremely important to maintain. And so for the first time, we're able to do, leveraging the power of the double-blind joins, we're able to leverage insights with clean rooms that protects the PII and sensitive information in the best possible way. And we're able to deliver all of this to our customers with the lowest TCO possible, given the unparalleled performance and the separation of compute and storage that we're able to get out of Snowflake, so we can isolate AI machine learning workloads that we have from analytic workloads, different from ad hoc requests, right? And maintaining historical data. All of that, can be leveraged in the best possible way.
That is incredibly impressive. And I think you mentioned a series of very high bar requirements. And the Snowflake Data Cloud is the thing that can actually deliver on all of those elements that you mentioned, from the security measures to the ability to ingest structured, semi-structured, and unstructured data by design into Snowflake. It's pretty incredible the amount of power that PowerSchool is delivering. So from here, I want to see a architectural diagram of how you've built this entire platform on top of Snowflake.
Absolutely, Daniel. Happy to share with you. So I should mention, when we started this journey with Snowflake, we thought we're going to solve one problem, and we ended up loving the features so much that it's now morphed into us delivering so much of value on this platform. So I'm excited to show you all the features that we're leveraging here. These are all of the K-12 data sources. So as I mentioned, historical data that a customer may have. Some of this could be on AWS in their private cloud. Some of it could be on Azure. Some of it could be on Google. Some of it could even be on-prem. We have lots of customers that still have troves of data on-prem. And this is where there's been a dichotomy of providing them this solution in a secure manner so that they can provide access to their customers, right? Especially given the ransomware attacks and the data breaches that are now prevalent. We have all of this historical data. We have live transactional data from, these are all of the PowerSchool solutions that we're ingesting data from into the Connected Intelligence data lake. So PowerSchool Student Information System, eSchool Plus, Performance Matters, Schoology, which is our LMS, Naviance, which is our college and career readiness solution, Headed To, eFinance Plus, Talent, Kickboard. So you can see these are just the solutions that PowerSchool provides, but we also are agnostic because we want this to be a fully encompassing solution. So we also ingest data from non-PowerSchool data sources. So it could be any other student information system, HR, finance, learning management platform, assessment platform, as we talked about this unstructured files and data. We also work with interagency data sets. So these could be early childhood data sets, higher education, workforce and labor, corrections, social services. So all of this data, regardless if it's on-prem, on AWS, or in Azure, we bring it into the platform. There's, of course, higher levels of secure connectivity that we deploy with site-to-site VPNs, transit gateways, VPC peerings. And then we're using various different replication technologies that we have optimized for latency and cost reasons. So depending upon the database technology, we deploy the different connectors that we have and start replicating those workloads. We do high-performance log-based CDC, change data capture, which allows us to do incremental inputs into Snowflake every 5 to 15 minutes. We use a data orchestration layer where there's some ELT, some ETL processes that we're performing with multi-tenant to single-tenant transformations. We use Kubernetes for some of our workloads. And then we run all of our machine learning on SageMaker. Of course, we're leveraging the private link features of Snowflake since we're deployed on AWS. And all of this data then gets ingested into the data lake. So from a Snowflake perspective, we're leveraging Snowpipe for all of that file-based data that's streaming into the data lake. We're extensive users of Snowpark, and I'll show you a little bit demo later on in terms of how we're leveraging Snowpark for deploying some of our machine learning and artificial intelligence workloads to predict student growth. We're using Streamlit for our application user interfaces in some of those demos. Of course, we're leveraging virtual warehouses, the data lake features, and we are curating, in addition to all of this private data that we're bringing from K-12 districts, states, and state agencies, we also are curating some publicly available data sets such as National Labor Exchange data, census data, which is required by all of the state agencies, especially when they're trying to predict workforce demand and correlate that with the supply that they're going to see from the K-12 and higher education pipelines. Within our Snowflake deployment, we're leveraging the data governance features. As I mentioned, security, data privacy, extremely important for us. Audit, so it's extremely important for us to understand every login, every transaction, every user that's in the system. Data cataloging features. We have AI ML models, anomaly detection, as I mentioned, clean rooms, data tagging, all of the row access policies, anonymization, tokenization, all of that extremely important to maintain the sensitivity and privacy of the data. We do leverage time travel and fail-safe. So we have customers where it's extremely important, where if they need to go back and restore the data back in time, or if they have a breach that happens, God forbid, on their own systems, this can serve as a backup because we're ingesting all of that data in near real time. Some of our customers are Snowflake customers as well. And so it really helps to do that secure data sharing. And that's one of the most important features, or one of the reasons that we did partner with Snowflake was, we could eliminate all of that unnecessary ETL that ends up being complicated, right? Or transferring files using legacy methods like FTP or APIs, just by doing that Snowflake to Snowflake data transfer, that's ending up being one of our most favorite features between us and our customers as well. So these are all the different features that we're taking advantage of with Snowflake. And then you can see, that's how we're deploying all of the insights and the analytics that our customers are getting by us consolidating all of this data in the ecosystem for them.
I hear it over and over again, just how impactful secure data sharing is, and for Snowflake customers and businesses building applications on top of Snowflake. What would you say has been the aha moments? Like when you started using secure data sharing, how did that change the way that your business really went about ingesting some of this data?
Yeah, that's a really good question. Prior to Snowflake, we were just so used to, data moving from one place to the other, right? And that causes data redundancy problems. Of course, it causes security risks in how you transfer the data, right? There's a lot of work to move the data, first to consolidate it, and then to take it out of the system. With the secure data share, it eliminates all of that.
Right.
And so, we're leveraging native Snowflake features. We're out of the box taking advantage of the security. We're taking advantage of the data transfers. We're taking advantage of the cross-cloud sharing. So it really does not matter, whether you're deployed in Azure or Google or AWS, it takes all of that complexity out of the mix. And it's not only cost effective for us to deploy these solutions, but it's a secure way for our customers to consume the data on their side as well.
Exactly. So from here, I want to see a live demo of this in action.
Absolutely. So I'm going to start with showing you an example of how we're leveraging all of the data out of Snowflake for our Unified Insights platform. This is our analytics solution that's heavily utilized in K-12. So as you can see on the screen over here, Daniel, there's a lot of different data points. The view over here is of a superintendent of a school district or of a state department of education, where they can quickly come in here and see a high-level view of what's going on at the district or at a specific school. So you can see here, I have GIS visualizations that I have deployed, and I can see concentrations of kids that are enrolled across my district. I can see the demographic information, which is extremely important for me as I understand the enrollment trends. And this is where the data starts becoming very interesting. This is the bread and butter of what every school district needs in order to operate their business every day, right? You need to understand attendance, because attendance has direct correlations with students potentially being at risk of dropping out of school. So really quickly, I can see, am I trending in the right direction? I can see my behavior and suspension rates, which is extremely important. Again, behavior is another indication of student success. And this is what we were talking about earlier with test scores. As I mentioned, the national report card for the state, or for the country, has shown us that we've had some of the worst math performance results, unfortunately, with scores dipping almost in every state, as well as in reading. So this is really important for educators and for district admin to keep an eye out on what is happening and how students are trending. So you can see here, we're literally pulling data together from several different systems all in one place to provide all of this consolidated view, so they don't have to go system by system in order to gather all of these insights. So this is the analytics platform that's deployed to our customers. From here, I'll transition on to showing you what we're doing in our P20W space. The P20W stands for Pre-K through Workforce. This is where we're revolutionizing how cradle-to-career problems have been solved till date. Every state agency has custom-built some of these solutions from scratch. As I mentioned, in order to consolidate all of this data, build the right level of observability, so you know that data is actually landing with confidence and reliability and with the right latency. It's an extremely complicated problem to solve. And every state agency today has custom built a solution because there's been nobody that's been able to provide an out-of-the-box solution to help solve this problem. In several conversations that I've had with state agencies, they are super excited that now we're able to bring to bear. What you're seeing on the screen over here is a projection of all of the growth in jobs that we're expecting to see over the next several years, and correlating that with the supply coming out of K-12 and higher education. From a supply standpoint, what we're really excited about is two of our products, Headed to and Naviance, actually provide an indication of a state's supply. So this is not just aggregating results without having a clear insight into what the interests are, because it's one thing for somebody to have the aptitude and the skills. It's another thing for a student actually to have the interest in terms of pursuing a job opportunity. So here is where, with solutions like what we're providing, we can for the first time provide insights into what the gaps are, right? What are students saying that they're interested in? What sort of jobs are available? And what is that pipeline going to look like? Something that is critically important for the workforce as they are starting to build the pipelines about the jobs that are going to be available 3, 5, 7, 10 years from now. And Danielle, now I'd like to show you our artificial intelligence and machine learning models that we've built using Snowpark and deployed using Streamlit. So this is a product that's called a Student Growth Percentile, or SGP. SGP describes the student growth compared to other students with similar prior test scores, which are called their academic peers. So the Student Growth Percentile allows us to fairly compare students who enter schools at different levels. It also demonstrates a student's growth in academic progress, even if she is not yet meeting a standard. So really what you're seeing on the screen over here is a chart that has achievement and growth by school and grade, meaning it's representing achievement, student achievement versus growth. Achievement stands for how good the student is doing at a normalized scale. And then the growth represents how much did they grow from one test to another compared to the other students in a group. So the upper right quadrant clearly is representing the best, right? Just as you would expect. So this chart can be filtered by grade to compare performance across schools, and it's an interactive chart. So the reason why this is so important is because student growth projections, especially given all of the learning loss that's happened with COVID, allows us to take past performance into consideration and project out into the future what the scores are likely to be at future intervals. So SGP is typically measured using statistical methods called quantile regressions, and they're used to describing the relationships between the students' previous scores and the current year scores. This is something that our customers have been asking for, especially, as I mentioned, because of all of the learning loss that's happened during COVID. And this is going to be such a critically important tool for us to bring to bear. So customers can not only leverage what we're providing over here out of the box, but using all of the data that we're bringing into the platform that is specific to the district, they can extend these models using Snowpark in connected intelligence as well.
This is very impressive, and it's pretty cool to see the amount of insight that you're able to glean from all of this data that you have access to through the ingestion of structured, semi-structured, unstructured data, all being ingested into Snowflake. So tell me more about how you went about choosing Snowflake. Did you go through some type of evaluation phase or proof of concept phase?
Yes, we did. Daniel, I had a list of, if I'm remembering the numbers correctly, I think I had a list of about 94 different requirements. Given what I just mentioned about the space that we're in, they're really stringent regulatory and compliance requirements, stringent security data governance requirements. At the same time, the problems really that we're trying to solve are copious amounts of data, right? Which has been a problem, like I said, in this industry, and which is why the solutions till date have not panned out or delivered on the promise because of the amount of data that needed to be processed. Of course, performance was a big deal and it was important to us. The number of concurrent users was important to us. Our customers and us, we want to run various different workloads on Snowflake. We have requirements for different AI ML models we want to bring to bear, especially with generative AI right now. There's so much of possibility. We're leveraging deep learning, natural language processing, ChatGPT, various other open AI models, all to bring some of these solutions to bear. So AI ML models and data science workloads were very important to us. Clearly, analytics is front and center, and it's a big growth driver for our customers in terms of how they are going to maximize student performance. Encryption, both of data at rest, data in motion, that was important. The integration of the partners in the ecosystem. We have customers, like I said, that are using thousands of solutions across state agencies and school districts. And so we wanted to make sure that the platforms that we're going to be choosing are really easy and interoperable to work with. That was a big requirement. So you can see, it was a big list of requirements that we had. We went through a significant evaluation process, and after all of the evaluation, in fact, some of the competing solutions to Snowflake eventually recommended that we do go with Snowflake just because of the benefits that we had with, separation of compute and storage, the secure data sharing, data governance, security, privacy that you guys have built into the platform, Snowpark, how we could separate the different workloads and not suffer performance for customers who are using, end users that are using dashboards. So all of these were basically reasons for why we chose Snowflake.
Amazing. So from here, what would you say is, over the next 6 to 12 months, what is the most, one or two things that your customer should get most excited about?
One of the things I'm really excited about, like I mentioned, is, the concept of P20W or cradle to career is not a new concept in education and workforce. However, most solutions that have been built to date have been custom. They take a tremendously long amount of time to deploy. I have customers that have tried to consolidate data from the different state agencies, and that's like a 5-year project for them just to consolidate all of this data. In talking with some of the CTOs and CIOs at state agencies, they've told me that, we want to move past the build phase to the utilize phase. They've told me that they don't want to wait 6 months, 2 years to ask for data sets. They don't want APIs or data exports where they're only getting a subset of their data. They want all their data. They want all years of history. They want unlimited access. They want unlimited performance. They want to be able to answer questions not only that their stakeholders have today, but also the stakeholders have in 5, 10, 15 years from now. And that's why I'm so excited that we've embarked on this journey to solve a critically important problem. As I said, I believe we're going to be facing a national crisis with not being able to align the workforce with the talent that's coming out of K-12 and higher ed. And us providing this productized solution is transcending our customers, taking them from the build phase to the actual utilize and govern phase so they can start making use of this data and start leveraging insights like student growth, projecting where a student needs to be so early interventions can be provided to those students and early supports so we can truly make sure that every student is set up for success.
Could not agree more. I think the mission that you're on is vital to the youth across the U.S. And so where should people go to learn more about you or about the company?
People can go to www.powerschool.com. They can also find me on LinkedIn. We'd be more than happy to talk to them about what we're doing with Snowflake, how we're changing education, how we're reinventing, how education and workforce can make the best possible impact to every individual and their success.
Fantastic. And Shivani, I want to say a big thank you for joining me in the studio today. It's been phenomenal learning about PowerSchool and how you've built such an amazing platform on top of Snowflake.
Thank you, Daniel. It's been a pleasure.
And for our viewers, if you want to learn more about how to build your next application or business on Snowflake, check out developers.snowflake.com. And if you want to see other video interviews like this with technology leaders in the space, be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel. My name is Daniel Myers. This has been another episode of Powered by Snowflake. See you next time.